Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Great Wizard Bukake, your host. Our heroes have traveled deeper into the mines. Butthole read up on the history of Overseer Gulper. Quinny received orders to do good and help Reginald do good. And Echo threatened Reginald if he turned coward again. What will happen now that they appear to have awoken Buttholes and... Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons.
A big giant head has just accused you of being Archibald Tingler, a name that strikes fear and loathing into Butthole and Reginald's hearts, and I think like general frustration into Quinny's, just having had to put up with Tingler upon Tingler upon Tingler, hashtag Tingler problems.
This goddamn family, man.
Yeah. And probably just like questions to Juniper's heart because Juniper likes to solve mysteries.
I mean, Juniper definitely does not like Archibald Tingler, but
right now it's Echo. So how does Echo feel about a giant
him at all?
spooky
So
head? Echo's fine. I was like,
Echo, yeah,
is it a problem a knife can solve?
she is unfazed.
Yeah. So as you'll recall, Quinny, you are up in the sort of overseer's office that is just decked out hardcore in like an excessive amount of vintage Aka gear, reading a spooky scroll. Meanwhile, down in about like general kind of mine operations, and you managed to figure out that they were specifically looking at how much material they needed to mine to make an excessive amount of armor suits. Meanwhile, Butthole, Reginald, and Echo, you were going along the floor of the massive chasm on your way across with of course Doc Huckleberry kind of limping along with you and Goblin Jr. You were crossing the many tracks beneath the giant adamantine meteorite that had been carved up a little bit like a shawarma. Like they're just like one of those big like sort of meat stacks where you're just carving bits off the sides. And is
it rotating? Like what's going on?
Yeah, it was just a spit through. There's tomatoes on top to keep it fresh.
Someone's cousin's doing a great job of cooking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get the tahini sauce. We're gonna punch that guy up.
Now I'm craving shawarma.
Yeah, I had one yesterday. That's what I'm thinking about. It was very good.
Now I'm craving adamantine armor.
Oh man, I had one yesterday. It was really good. The Uber Eats delivery fees on adamantine armor, though, not great. You're approaching it and you saw a little shrine.
Uber Feats. That's the term for ordering things for D&D. Anyways.
Oh, nice.
Right.
But patent pending.
Wizards. Yes, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
FEATS,
Uber Feats
yeah.
is another service that we don't need to get involved with on this channel. Okay, cool.
I mean, they're both very profitable, but for vastly different reasons.
Yeah.
We'll advertise one,
I'm sure
but the
there's
other gets to
overlap
be in
in
the
the
show.
audiences or the
Sure.
Yeah,
Never mind.
It's a vast tapestry. Speaking of tapestries, you found two hanging on either side of the small shrine that had been set up underneath the giant meteorite, and you also had a small kind of like throne situation set up with a bunch of carpets nearby. Upon picking up the bone-covered book that had been bound in bone, meow, you discovered that it was a history of the cult of Aka, as written by Bloodworthington Tingleraria,
What?
who listed herself as the architect of Aka and war mistress. So that's as far as you got, Butthole, before the meteorite started talking to you.
Yeah,
as a giant face kind of rippled across its surface and yelled at you.
Butthole is just going to turn to Reginald and whisper and just say, "I'm so sorry, but I need to know what the hell is going on." And he's just going to hold the bone book out to Reginald. Reginald's going to go, oh. He's going to take it and then activate Grim Psychometry.
Cool. You know what happens before that? Initiative.
What?
Roll a d20.
Initiative for a conversation, right? A little tete-a-tete,
Yeah.
that's all?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what D&D is
fine.
known for with
We're
initiative.
we're just in the marketplace of ideas here, right?
Ooh, 21.
Well, hot damn, Echo.
That's pretty good. I am also at 21.
Aw.
Do we need to
I think you win. You have +3 initiative.
Well,
we do that or do
Quinny
we roll
also
off on
isn't
it?
there right now,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm going to keep you in order, but it's not as though you're acting immediately. Okay.
Butthole and Reginald both got 9.
Incredible.
They're trading the book.
Okay, great. Reginald gets 9 and...
So who goes first in that tie then?
Butthole.
Okay.
He's got +1. And Reginald's
surprising to
+0.
me, but okay, all right. So I'm just going to make you 10 then. Okay, cool.
Butthole is a hair more dexterous than Reginald. Just a hair.
All right, so I'm going to count your book business as a surprise round. I think. Am I though? Nah.
Only you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
this is Tom debating with himself.
Yeah. Yeah, as though I'm playing two NPCs talking to each other, as you guys have forced me to do several times. Okay, yeah. No, we're not going to count that as a surprise round. We're just going to go right into it.
If your NPCs didn't want to talk to each other, I don't know why they're in the same room.
Because you just fucking collect them rather than saying goodbye at an appropriate time. You're like, welcome to the family. I'm making you my Castilian. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, great.
Ooh, I got to write that down. Castilian. That's going to be a
God
job.
damn it.
Yeah. Hey, sentient adamantine, you want a job? Hey, face in the moon, or whatever the fuck's going on.
Love that for us. Yeah, why not? Just keep.
Do you think it'll fit in my tummy bag?
Nothing Annan's gonna love more than you guys dragging a fucking moon in and being like, find room, new friend.
Yeah.
So
know,
this
Quinny's
is the
parents will just befriend it.
Castilian. I don't know what that job is, but it came to me in a dream.
Annan's like, it's my job. It's literally my. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, then they can just guard the castle. So I don't know, plug the gate with them.
Yeah. This is the Deputy Castilian.
Yeah, we're just going to push him up against the gate when it's locked. Otherwise, we open the castle when we move the Castilian. And if any of the kids come to bother the face, it can tell them riddles.
That's how I get rid of kids that bother me, is riddles. Works every
Yeah, but
time.
in an era without television, riddles are Little Sheldon or whatever the fuck.
I figured those would be stage plays. And it's young Sheldon.
No,
not
it's
in our
little
world.
Sheldon in my head now. It's just like small
Me Sheldon?
Parsons running around being like, well, hi. I'm not very big.
Yeah, Little Sheldon and Malcolm
Yeah.
slightly off center.
Bazinky. It's a little itsy bitsy one.
Yeah, itsy bitsy Sheldon.
Yeah. Bazinglet.
Singlet. Okay. All right. Top of the round is Quinny. Quinny, you are up the room. I think you've been reading this document.
Yep.
You hear certainly the face begin to speak. Looking out kind of through the overseer's window. Again, it's like the meteorite itself has rippled. It's very much like a T-1000 liquid metal, or The Secret Life of Alex Mack for like the 8 people who are going to get that reference. Okay, shit. Well, 2 of them are in the room. So, all right. Congrats to the 6 others of you. You nailed it. So it's that kind of vibe where it's just like very much like bad CGI from the 90s.
Sure,
Or
yeah.
incredible CGI in the case of Terminator 2 for its time. But and very much like staring like Moon from Mask of Majora at Butthole and Reginald. And speaking to
I was
them.
picturing it as like a nice, like little face. We're talking like,
Nah,
oh, okay.
it's not a pleasant. It's like very much the patrician features of the Tingler family, but like as a
Okay.
giant rippling metal face in a place it shouldn't be. So yeah, not sorry. Whatever cute image you had, it's not like a fucking Katamarzi. What is it? Katamag?
Katamari Damacy?
That's the one. Thanks, bud. It's not like a nice little smiley rolling ball. It's just like an evil, horrible monster face of a cruel patrician So what do you
Gotcha.
do, Queenie?
Well, it sounds like the two brothers over there have its attention. So I guess I will try at the sound of a voice coming from this fucking space rock and a face shimmering through the metal and looking over that way. I guess I'll sneak out of this office. I'll grab the scroll if I can. I know it's on this very fancy holder. Is it too big or yeah?
It's big, like it's hardy, so it's kind of like wear like a sword kind of a scroll. But much like most ornate scroll holders, as you do, very easy to pop it out. It's like a toilet paper roll holder. You just crank that shit out.
Yeah.
And the arms still look dope. They just aren't great at holding things.
Right. Okay. I'll bring the scroll along with me if I can just kind of sling it over my back.
Yep.
And I'd like to stealthily make my way down to this shimmering liquid metal and try to stay out of its line of sight.
Cool. So go ahead and roll a stealth check, please. Don't know why I bother, but rules is
that
rules.
is a 31.
It's never not funny.
Okay. So its attention is very clearly fixated on Butthole and Reginald. Mm-hmm. So you're able to kind of slip out the other side of the office. And again, there's so many walkways and things. You're able to start making your way along the wall. And with your outfit, you blend, like your cloak blends very handily into these walls. And there's enough like shadows and crevices and things that you're basically just moving from shadow to shadow. And you get the sense that you are not detected.
Okay. Do I see anything interesting about this meteorite from this angle?
Give me a perception, please.
That's a good roll, too. That's a 22.
Well, it's no 31, but
it's not. But you know what?
We do what we do
what I can get.
So you can tell, Quinny, that this sort of shimmering face that's formed, it seems to have drawn material away from the back. So the back looks a little bit more ragged and like ore. Basically, you get the sense that it's not like the entire meteorite is this thing. It's more like this thing is in it or drawing from it in some way, shape, or form. But from looking at it, it's not like Ego in the Marvel universe where it's like, in the comics where it's like his head is a planet. It's not that situation. It seems to be separate from the rock in some way.
Can I ask for some clarification from you? Because I have an idea here.
Sure.
And also, this is initiative order, so I also understand if you want to come back to me later if I roll more investigation or something.
I'll let you know where it lands.
Is this a creature that is like here in the room with us, or is the metal being used as like a conduit that someone is speaking through?
That I would take as an action next round to determine, cool. But it's a good line of inquiry, and you should follow it.
Okay.
Echo. Butthole and Reginald seem to be handing each other a book. Giant faces staring very intently at them with a look of malice. What do you do?
Is there anything like physically threatening coming from this thing?
Nope.
And yet we're in initiative. I think Echo's just gonna take this opportunity to pull out a little bit of that adamantine dust and cast Stoneskin on herself. Because what the fuck is going on? Have no idea what to expect here, but this is ominous, to say the least. So that's it. So I think just for like a second, Echo just like, there's kind of like a shimmer that kind of runs from like top of her head to like her toes, and it's just, and then disappears. You don't see it, but it's there.
Cool.
It's Stoneskin.
Maybe she's bored with it. Maybe it's Stoneskin.
Maybe, yeah.
Amazing. So, your skin hardens as you kind of, I think, keep a watchful eye on the giant face.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Which brings us to the giant face, which glowers. Like, it is a full, like, glowering at a scale you have not been glowered at before, at this business of handing off the book. And she just says in again, a booming voice, "Oh, really? You know the contents as well as I, brother. Here to gloat, are we? I've waited for this for some time." And the sort of liquid begins to shimmer and almost pulse, kind of like if you've seen music pulsing, kind of like through water. Things like spikes begin to form, and you can tell it's charging up. The spikes are kind of like they're still rounded, but they're getting to borrow a term from Brandon Hackett, horntier as they as they go. So that is her turn. Butthole, you hand the book off to Reginald. Anything else you want to do?
Yeah, he wants to talk to this head because he's trying to figure out what's going on. And he'll be like, "Hello, I'm not Archibald. He was my dad. And then me and my friends murdered him. So if you've got a problem with Archibald, we may have already solved it. If you didn't like him, I didn't like him either. Why don't we be friends?"
So I'm going to need a persuasion check from you.
Then I'm going to use that point of inspiration I have.
Yeah.
From our vast, endless bucket of inspiration.
Nat 20!
Whoa.
Butthole makes friends!
I didn't know which direction that gnat was going. I was worried.
Take that, Tom!
Let's take this enemy stat block I got here and just... Okay, who wanted to see what the giant head could do anyway, right?
Don't worry.
I see what it can do. It can
I
make
throw a
a
rock
friend.
at it. Don't worry, Tom.
It's okay. It's gonna attack for us now.
You wait until we haul it up to a car.
It's our new Castellan.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it the Castilian of this realm.
Yeah, great. Okay, so...
Take this, Grayson Typhus. You ready for an adamantine head, you ugly bitch?
Hope you like riddles.
I hope you like riddles. Oh no, my one weakness. Years as a CEO didn't train me how to answer anything other than how to increase my own profits.
Here's the best way to torture a guy who can't die. Just riddles forever.
Yeah.
Oh, riddle me this. It's human. It's a human.
No, I said whittle me this. I want a little fish.
Honestly, after Quinny Quest, I don't trust the answer to any riddles anymore. You just you never know. You never know.
Very good.
All right, so fucking hell. The face looks shocked, kind of like I did. And looks like with massive eyes, so everything is just slightly magnified. Her eyes dart between you and Reginald, and you can almost see the math going on, because it's true. You both look relatively the same age, so it is a little iffy to assume that, like, if Archibald's your father and Archibald's there, but, like, that's clearly not dad age, but maybe it is. So there's a lot of that kind of arithmetic
It's
going on.
the woman doing the trigonometry, right?
Yes, exactly. Between you, and you just hear in that booming voice, "Oh, shitty shit, fuck, did I? Oh, no, did I? Okay, but, hang on, though. Oh, but maybe, and there's like a lot of like lip biting as the trig meme happens, at which point Reginald slams, takes hold of the book and is immediately seized by his grim psychometry, which, unlike the name of that fucking rolling video game, I have trained myself to say, so good for me. Ryan, you got to roll for that to see how
Yes,
deep you
I
can go,
do.
right?
Alrighty. That is a 25.
And what does that get you?
So, grim psychometry means I take a history check about dark objects I'm touching. The info that I discover focuses on the darker aspects of the history and can convey images or history I wasn't previously aware of on higher rolls.
Cool. So you
The
see
Batman Arkham Asylum version of speed reading.
Yeah. So you get a glimpse of, I think the grimmest thing that this book kind of can give you is obviously it's bound in bone, which is not fucking ideal. So with the with kind of your grim psychometry, you see you smell ash, fresh, that kind of like thick, fresh ash of sort of burnt wood. And your vision blurs a bit as flakes of paper kind of like flick past you on fire. And you find yourself standing, holding the book in before a massive burning structure. And as more and more paper flicks out towards you, you can tell that it's a library that's on fire. And before you, you see a clearly like a again it's he's wearing kind of archaic gear, but clearly like probably like a captain of a ka, who is dressed in the traditional regalia of kind of soldier. He's got like the face paint and everything on. And he's well decorated. And again, like Reginald, for you, there's always a bit of weirdness in this because everything is like slightly off from how this works in your world. But you can see enough to recognize like this guy clearly has got some some stank on him. Like he's got in like the butthole, like yay stank, not like boo stank way. He's clearly a decorated captain. And he's on his knees, on one knee, and he's doing that like classic like warrior trying to get up thing. And you can see that he's actually got a spear in his back, and it's an Aka spear. And there's a woman striding up to him, and again established kind of like a bit of an Eartha Kitt vibe in terms of just those incredibly sharp features, and the way she kind of carries herself. And she sort of like sweeps up and wearing like very much like from your experience, like the royal family of Aka kind of like in my head, it's just like fucking Warhammer Dark Elf shit where it's just like everything is unnecessarily spiky and dramatic. There's like, you know, daggers on chains that clink as she walks. She's got a train, but it's clearly also tipped with daggers. So like it's a gown, but it's a murder gown. And she kind of approaches, pulling an ornate dagger off of her belt, which she kind of flicks between her fingers. And the man on the ground just kind of like looks up at her with a mix. He's kind of like a Dave Bautista type. Looks up with like a mix of like rage and confusion. There's no betrayal, just like straight up rage and confusion. And he just gestures over his back at the burning building. And Ryan, forgive me, grim psychometry, do you get words or do you just get visual?
It can be image. It says images or history, but I imagine there could be sound in that. It's very much up to your discretion.
Yeah, great. So he just kind of gestures back over his shoulder and says, "Is not the glory of Tempest great?" And she just like looks down at him with disgust and says, "Please, Tempest must strive for better." And then she slashes his throat. And as he kind of like, again, just in confusion and kind of like disappointment that his neck doesn't work that way, just kind of stumbles forward, kind of like grasping at the hem of her gown. Before just kind of like falling over in a heap. And she kind of like cranks the spear out of his back. And you can see her eyes kind of light on the sort of shiny white gore smeared bone that her like spear had pierced through of his shoulder blades. And resheathing her blade, she kind of like drops down and just kind of wrenches the wound open a little bit. And then like taps with a knuckle on it. And a little like grin spreads across her features. And you see her kind of yell to an attendant and say, I require these materials cleaned. I think I have a fitting project for him. And you watch kind of over her shoulder as she shakes her head as the library continues to burn. And a team of attendants show up with like skinning blades and other weapons normally used in hunting to help get the materials for her book. And that is what you get from your roll and the book.
Reginald's like, just taken in a memory that feels like a home he does not wish to return to. However, it doesn't actually explain to him anything much about this book. So now he's got to try to flip through it and like table of contents, math out what's useful for trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. That's his new job, reading.
The ultimate test. Okay, amazing. So we go up to the top of the round. Quinny, you've seen that the face is now vexed and seemingly cussing itself out. The spiky tendrils seem to have dissipated somewhat. But you wanted to kind of figure out whether this is whether the person is present or if it's kind of like what was originally pitched as how Zordon works before the movie decided that no, he's actually just in the tube.
You're just a guy in there.
Just a guy in there. Not a long range communication at all. Just a bald man in a big old sack.
Just Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, just Bryan Cranston. Very true. Go ahead with your investigation, please. Or I mean, I would also take arguments if you've got anything else you'd like to pitch for as the skill you'd use to determine this. I'd take that.
Investigation makes sense to me if I'm just using the powers of my perception to deduce something. So that'll be a 22.
22. So you get the sense again that the stone itself isn't alive. That she seems to almost be a layer on top of the stone. Reaching out a bit with your arcane warlock senses, you don't get the sense that there's no portal magic at work here. So you're pretty sure she isn't the stone, but whatever essence she is here, is present in whatever this liquid metal situation is.
Okay. When she was spiking up for something nasty, was that kind of pointing in all directions, or was it look like it was all going to go in one?
Just coming off that one side.
So then I won't take precautionary cover if this conversation goes poorly. I'll stay kind of out in the open and mobile.
Yeah, this is an odd pull, but like the sense you're very much getting is like if she was just like an eyeball floating there, that the iris is there and can like look around, but wherever the focus is very much like those enemies from Mario 64, right? It's just like the iris is like her face is the threat, and if the face isn't looking at you, you also, now that you're kind of investigating, like you can tell looking at the meteorite from the back that it looks just like the meteorite looked when you entered the room. So it's not like she can see you out the back either. It's very much she's traveling through the kind of like pores of the thing and along the surface of it, but she is not.
And she's all liquid adamantine metal, as far as I can tell. That's all she's comprised of. Okay.
I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, from what I can tell. Okay.
I mean, I can like tape my sheet back together and tell you more, but that'll take a different role.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to let the conversation play out. I don't think I add anything to it, of like, I killed Archibald. And I'm like, and I'm Quinny. Like, that's not important. I will just be quiet and see what happens.
And the Quinny is part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, that makes sense to me. Echo. Similar circumstance, different place.
I mean, now that people are like talking and stuff, she's got questions. So Echo just kind of looks up into the face, just kind of like moves like a little bit like closer, so she's more centered in the weird face's vision. And just says, "Excuse me, are you trapped in there?"
And the face says, "Well, if you carry the 3, then that means you could be. But how old do you? What?" And like, sort of like squints at you, kind of like seeing you for the first time, and just saying like, "Hello, tiny, terrifying girl. I'm sorry. I'm dealing with family for a moment. Do you mind? I'm fine. I don't need. I'm where I must be. But
Okay, we help people sometimes. I just wanted to make sure.
help people."
Yeah.
Tinglaria who helps people? That seems impossible. And her eyes dart back to Reginald and Butthole. And now, like, again, just like very, very confused.
Oh, to be clear, I kill people too.
And like, she kind of like looks back to you and just kind of like gives you a nod in kind of a, okay, I understand you that it's these fuckers I don't get. And she says, "Okay, well, you're cool. You can stay, but you two. Ooh," like her mouth ripples. Which brings us to her. So I'm
Looking for some
gotta lean
stats.
down and get her stat block back. No, I'll just pull it up online. I can't find the piece of paper that has it. Okay, so I'm gonna roll. She has to roll a check on this, and I think it's going to be history. She's trying to understand what the fuck is going on here. And that's a nat 20. Holy shit.
She may have figured it out.
This conversation is very blessed. Hashtag blessed. So she kind of squints and then like if metal could blush, just kind of goes, "Oh, tits, you're not, are you? You're not Archibald. No, of course, because it's been so long, it couldn't be Archibald. Or were there more And like, again, with nat 20, I guess you just get all the fucking exposition. Sure, why not? Her kind of like forehead metal creases a bit, and she says, "No, but it was never just brother. It was brother, then nephew, then nephew, then you. Who are you? You are Tinglaria, but not Archibald. But all of the children of Archibald were Archibald. Are you not Archibalds?"
No, not this generation. So I was born originally Bobbert, and then I changed my name to Butthole. And then I also had a brother who was named Reginald, who we murdered very violently. And then another portal opened up to a different dimension, and we got that Reginald, which is over here. He came from a hell world. Reginald's reading a book, and he's like, "Yeah, that checks out."
And she, it was like a little quirk of a smile. And she says, "So one of the Archibalds remembered great Uncle Reggie. Well, that's surprisingly lovely. Named for regicide, as you can imagine. That's a real treat. Old great Uncle Regicide.
Well, I'm glad it runs in the family, because we're kind of here to do that again.
You're here for Archibald.
Oh, no, we got him already. We're here for somebody who's replaced Archibald. His name's Grayson Typhus, and he seems like a real penis.
I don't care for that sound at all. Well, this is, I'm sorry. And like immediately, like the face kind of shrinks and does become a bit of a sweeter face, although still like with a very imperious look, like still kind of looking at you like you're insects, but like insects it's not going to step on. And we can drop out of initiative order. The face says, "You'll have to excuse me. My brain doesn't exactly work so well since the transmogrification, but it was vitally important to operations that generationally there was someone to oversee things. And, well, things get a bit fucky when there's like a bunch of different generations of people who look very similar and have the same sorts of names who you deeply hate for their betrayals. But then you realize that they're not the same person, but then they betray you in new ways, in different ways, as the Tinglaria way. Although they dropped the flourish on the end of it. I think you said your name was Tingler.
Yeah, we don't have the Rhea anymore, so it's just Tingler.
It was hard to pronounce. I remember one of the Archibalds bitching about that when he was down here. It's
I don't know. I think it's
peasant
kinda classy.
name now.
No, I like it. It's nice. It's somebody who's renamed himself. I'm thinking we could definitely rename the dynasty, so it's possible. We could go back to it.
No, honestly, when you exist as long as I have, you learn sometimes it's better to just let the past die. Otherwise, well, you end up as a giant floating head in a mine. Well, this is embarrassing. I apologize. It would seem that I was holding you two boys to account for the sins of your father and his father and his father, and then his father, my brother, who admittedly our father was also kind of a dick, so it makes sense that it kind of was passed down from generation to generation. I'm just frankly shocked someone hated their Archibald enough to not name his sons Archibald. That is truly astounding to me. That name has gone back for centuries. So wow. I don't know what your dad's dad did, but he must have been a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. And Butthole's just going to have found a rock and then sat down to have this conversation. For anybody else, other than the incredible scale difference between Giant Face and Butthole, it was just two people sitting at a bar having a conversation. And he's just so, I mean, if you could just give us a rundown of what's going on, that'd be great. Because if there's one thing I like to do, it's punish people who do terrible things to their family and help people out who've been fucked over by tinglers.
I mean, those are pretty good things. I'm sad it's come to this, but that's not bad. So it's you two, and what's with little spooky girl in the chair?
So I'm Butthole. That's Reginald, and this is Echo. Neverwinter's youngest serial murderer, who also helps out sometimes when we go on adventures.
Okay.
I have a lot of different names.
Well, I mean, as someone named Bloodworthington, I can understand wanting some other monikers. I tried to go by Suzanne for a bit, but it just never fit. Bloodworthington is truly the only name fitting for me.
Okay, so we should call you...
I'm just named Echo, but the other people inside me have different names. I should have clarified.
I understand why you fit in so well with the blood of Tingleria. All right, so just the three of you, your strange dog, and...
Oh, yeah, that's Doc Huckleberry. He's here. He normally has robot arms, and he's super impressive, but we've had a rough time with some of the murder gerbils. And then we've got it. Yeah, they come out, and then they try to eat you. They may or may not have black goo in them, just like the dwarves.
Oh, you mean the merbles?
Oh, and he looks over and points at Reginald, and Butthole's just oh, it's happening. Reginald's I knew it. It all checks out. Excellent. He's still reading furiously, trying to put this all together for himself, because the more he knows, the less wrong he can say.
Yeah, she's the miners used to control the merbles with flutes, but it's a lost art. Has not been seen around these parts in some time.
Maybe I'll have to take up the flute again once we get out of here.
Says, okay, so that's nice. That's a nice party. Everyone involved. Okay, so.
Oh no, wait. There's one other guy. He's probably sneaking around. He's Quinny. He's little, and he's pretty cool. And he also expert murderer. Spent some time in hell killing for a demon.
Okay. And immediately the liquid face just shoots through the back of the meteorite. Quinny, you're not trying to hide, or are you still hiding?
I was trying to be sneaky still.
Okay. Let's see. So it's thum, face comes out like a bad early 3D movie. And then slides and slides and slides and slides. And then eventually it comes back around, just kind of nodding, which is just sliding up and down uncomfortably on the meteorite. And she says, Not bad. Your friend is very sneaky. I really thought I could get him. He'd be right behind me or something, but he's good. We could have used him during the incursions, but we had plenty of sneaky folk back then. Anyway, good job wherever you are.
Quinny yells down one of the various tunnels that are pockmarking the mine. He's thanks. Just comes out another tunnel. Thanks.
This guy seems to get it. That is amusing. I have been truly strapped for entertainment down here. Really, it's the small things these days for me, these centuries for me, if I'm being honest. Bobbert, that is a name unfamiliar to me, but Bobbert, you would like to know what has happened here.
Yeah, that'd be great. And like, what's going on with you and how we can help you to right the wrongs of what are apparently a long lineage of terrible Archibalds.
Yeah, okie dokie. So first, I suppose you'd like to know about the mine. You obviously have traversed some of it. You've encountered the Merbles. Pray tell, did you encounter any of the miners, any of the Good Work Company folk?
Yeah, we had like a room full of dwarves that seemed to be full of black goo that tried to murder us, and then we murdered in turn.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, they were already very dead. If they were full of the substance, then they're clearly done for. But that makes sense. The mine has been closed for quite some time. And she kind of like again narrows her eyes and says, I suspect probably the death blow was your father, your Archibald. But it matters little. The objectives of the mine were lost over the centuries anyway. We came here, for blood and conquest, as you do. But you see, Do you know of the cult of Akar? I see that Regicide there is trying to read my expertly penned book. And she does that like weird shitty like trying to read over her shoulder thing, but she can't get over her shoulder because she's just a face stuck on stone. So it's just kind of like scooches up the side a little bit and then back down.
Yeah, no, we don't actually know that. Like, I know, like, Tempest, good. Akar, good. God of War, murder, etc. But nobody's really got into the details, which may be, it's a flaw in the younger generations. They tend to be a little less religious.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand. This was the doing of the lineage of Archibalds, turning things to the darker sides of Tempest. So you say Akar good and Tempest good.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking,
glares a little bit at you
in a way that like follow along or everybody gets murdered and then we're going to take over the world. Like the teachings were like follow, kill.
No,
That's probably a better summation than things good.
Oh, gods. And she like legitimately looks crestfallen. And it's like, honestly, like it kind of guts you a little bit. It is just a look passes over her features of just utter devastation. And the face kind of rolls skyward. And she just says, Sweet Akar, I have failed you worse than I thought. Please, you must not forgive, but perhaps understand our failures. We tried, Sweet Akar, we tried. And then her face kind of slithers back down. And she's composed herself, but also like, when you're stuck in a meteorite for centuries, you kind of get over the social awkwardness of things. It just kind of lets it out. And she says, so the nation of Akar, you've said it stands for following orders and bloodletting and war.
Yeah, and raising an army of undead to take over the planet.
Gods, how far we've fallen. And she just kind of nods and says, well, all right then. First, you should know that we came to this mine with noble intent. My intent as the architect of the cult of Akar was to change things for the better, if you can believe it.
I can. That's what I want to do. Reginald does not believe it as he flips through this book made of bone, but he doesn't say anything. He's a smart man.
Well, bully for you. I wish you the best. We came down here in order to mine we'd heard about the large adamantine purpose through some, how to put this, capture, torture, and murder of some good company or good works company folk Very useful, honestly. You need to know where something is. You just go up the corporate chain. You can usually find someone who's willing to talk under enough pressure. In any case, we needed a tremendous amount of adamantine for my machinations to come to fruition. So we came down here to find that the miners were still very active. So those that stood against us, we, put down with great abandon. We found some allies. Did you find Gulper anywhere around?
Oh, yeah, he died, so we smashed him as well.
Echo kind of raises her arms as she's wearing Gulper's
all
clothes.
of his clothes.
And suddenly, it's like the light goes off, and she's like, "That's where I know you from." So you're wearing a dead man's clothes.
Yeah.
Okay, honestly, don't quite understand you, but also I think I really understand you. This is okay. You're good people, I think.
Okay.
My kind of good people. Okay. So Gulper's dead. That's probably for the best. He was a bit of a dingus. Did you see what he did to Craven Morks?
Yeah, I did. It seemed very unpleasant for Craven Morks.
I can't believe he hung him outside the office like that. I mean, that's a weird way to enter an office. We really didn't approve that. He just kind of did it, which is why we slipped poison into his beverage. He's, for a betrayer, he really should have been checking his food. What a twit. Anyway, okay, well, yes, the workers were quite busy doing their jobs, but we seized control of the mine, and the remaining workers we put to work, but not before we learned from Mr. Morks of the concept of unions. Have you heard of unions?
Oh, yeah, big fan. Big fan of unions, trying to spread those around. Heard good things.
Big smile across her face. She says, wonderful. They were an unknown concept to us. We had come to build ourselves better weapons, better tools. In the early phases of the cult, I assumed we would only be able to spread our word on the edge of a blade. But when we heard about unions, I saw there was a better way to celebrate Akar and to bring his great hopes to fruition. You see, Tempest had many lovers, many companions, many allies, but of those, Akar was truly his greatest and his most beloved. Akar was a fellow warrior, one known for the strength of his arm and the uproarious, deep laughter he could evoke. A man who evoked tremendous camaraderie, friendship, joyfulness, even in the heat of battle. And he and Tempest shared a connection and a love that the rest of Tempest's lesser conquests couldn't possibly hold a candle to. More importantly, Akar kept Tempest in check. He provided a new way of thinking about the value of war, not as something all-consuming or endless, but as the means to an end, something that must end. With Akar, there was a hope that Tempest might truly be a force for good rather than the, shall we say, chaotic to lawful neutral he might be, if you really want to dig into it, just a force that is and evokes war and conquest. And it was the marriage of this understanding of Akar and unions that led to the cult that I formed in his name. For you see, when Akar was slain in a tremendous battle of the gods, Tempest was deeply wounded in a way that no amount of medicine or remedy could. He was wounded deep within his very being. And to cover that, he leaned into his more bombastic instincts. And thus, the god of war, as you probably know him, as it sounds like your nation follows, was born. All restraint was gone. All hope of perhaps bringing an end to war, of laying down arms, was lost. And so, that's what I sought to bring about, was a return to Akar and his ways and his desires. At first I thought we'd have to kill everyone who disagreed with us, as is our way, but upon hearing the unions, I thought of something better. You see, we've been looking for a means to summon the god of war. Is this familiar to you? I suspect this is probably a long-standing Archibald thing.
Oh, yeah, they were really into the idea of bringing about an avatar of a god or something.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
all that stuff.
Yeah, just bring him down. Oh, we'll lead him into battle. He'll be our god. And yeah, stab. Blood. Yes, very good. Yes, this has been the purpose of our Tinglerian bloodline for generations, stretching way the fuck back. We're getting pretty close, too. And I was a little concerned about this, if I can be honest, for when I learned of the nature of a Ka, it didn't seem like having an avatar of the god of war on a battlefield would really lead to war stopping. Instead, just kind of constant global consuming war constantly forever, which kind of blows, you know? So I decided to turn our direction somewhat. The cult of a Ka is about summoning the god of war, but using the power of unions and the power of friendship, frankly, spreading him out amongst a dedicated honor guard, a union, if you will, who could each contain a little piece of the avatar of the god of war, and thus prevent him from having the effect he had on my world and seemingly has on yours. I plan to take Archibald's work, summon Tempest into 6,666 suits of armor, each of which could contain part of the essence of the god. That way, this honor guard could, in times of great need, rise, do what must be done, but then, following the edicts of a Ka, temper it, rein it back in, and by sharing the load amongst them, prevent anyone from succumbing to the dark influences of war. This pissed off Archibald quite a bit, though, as you can imagine. He really wanted that avatar thing. I think secretly he just kind of wanted a hug and a high five from Tempest to be like, thanks, dude, you did it. We're best buds now. But I kind of feel like Tempest would have just gutted him and worn him like a coat. So I kind of thought I was helping everyone, you see. So we began to develop these suits of armor that could contain an avatar of a god spread out amongst them across this honor guard. However, we discovered this would be the work of generations, and so I made a supreme sacrifice and transferred my essence to the substance. We used a tremendous amount of binding rituals to merge me with the odd alien substance that seemed to permeate the stone, thus allowing me to oversee the mine over a course of generations. Here's the thing no one tells you about merging your consciousness with a mysterious alien substance, though. Turns out, you can only really stab things within maybe 2 meters of you. You're not really that impressive anymore because you're stuck in a giant stone in the middle of a room. And so if people decide, instead of, say, I don't know, finishing the work of generations, summoning a god into a bunch of different people who could all bear the load together and thus preventing an endless cycle of war, that instead they're going to just go do something else. And it sounds like your Archibald did that. Did he succeed in summoning an avatar?
Oh, no. He tried. He wanted to do that. As far as I can tell, with me, just putting the avatar in me, and I was like, no thanks, Dad, and then I fucked right off.
Yeah, that's good. They talked about that for a long time. They lacked any form of technology that did it, so I don't know who brought them that, but they could
That, I think,
suck an
was
egg.
Grace and Typhus, the penis.
Quinny, from your understanding, it was most assuredly Emily, not Grace and Typhus. But do you choose to interject with that, or are you just going to let that slide?
I'm not going to get into this. Yeah, I can give my spin to Butthole later. I can give my take on it, but again, right now, I do not want to interrupt a conversation that is going well between Butthole and sentient metal. So
Fair enough.
I'm fine with this.
So Bloodworthington's like, well, fuck that guy then. That guy does sound like a real penis.
I need more relatives like you, because you seem pretty great. So should we make more armor after we take back a Ka? Like, this plan sounds pretty good that you got going on.
Well, I mean, if he's failed to summon the avatar of the god of war, I mean, you said you killed him, right?
Oh, yeah, he's dead.
So you two are presumably the heirs to the bloodline of Tingleria.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, and you don't seem interested at all in summoning Tempest to wage unending war on the world.
Oh, no, that's not my vibe at all. What about you, Reginald? I don't want to get gutted and worn like a cape, coat? I feel like I'd be a
one of the
cape.
two. It depends how large you are. I mean, you would make probably a good cape or a coat, quite frankly. And I mean,
Oh, well, thank you. You know,
honestly, you've got the build for a book. If you ever really piss someone off, like you could be like Drathar, whose bones are currently in your hands there.
oh, man, if I had $1 for every time somebody said I'd make a good book made out of bones, I would have like $10, which like isn't very much, but also is a lot.
Wait, $10 isn't very much. How much has inflated? You know what? This is fine. I don't need to care. I'm made of sentient metal now. All right. So it would seem to me that you could attempt to make the armor suits, but as you can see, the mine has been abandoned. The goal was abandoned. And frankly, I don't know that there's any sense in it if you're not hell-bent on summoning a god. I was contending with Archibald and my other siblings, all of whom were like really fucking horny to summon a god. So if you're not dealing with that...
No.
Good. The best you could do, though, and honestly, if you're looking to bring some balance to Tempest, is to put a Ka on the correct path. It sounds like the nation is really just a weird, shitty Tempest nation right now, rather than extolling the virtues of Tempest's great forgotten love. It would seem to me that if you can bring the values of a Ka back into the world, that would hopefully balance out Tempest a little bit. I mean, I don't fully understand all the religion shit. That was more the priest's job, but like maybe just reminding a Ka of its actual foundational values. It's all in the book. It's really good. I got a little carried away in the middle. There's some tangents that, maybe could have been edited out, but they always say you're your harshest critic, and I couldn't really get any flap reviews or anything because my family was trying to kill me and all, but you can figure it out. That's for you to say. Honestly, I've just been keeping myself together so that I can bitch slap Archibald when he comes down here. But if he's dead, I guess I don't really need to worry about that anymore, which is kind of great. So thank you for that.
No problem. Can we do anything for you?
Oh, yes, there is one thing. Although, do you have all the information you need? Do you think you've got a handle on it? Like, built the armor, put the god in it, everyone would share the burden. Unions are great. The cult of a Ka is based on unions.
It's based on unions, and it's about love, and it was
and
like
friendship. Yes.
Tempest's coolest boyfriend, and he was like, maybe we should do war when it's righteous and not the rest of the time. So it was like a healthy balance to righteous conflict, which speaks to me at a pretty core level. You mentioned though, the substance, which the black goo. Yeah, you said it in that spooky way that implies that it's very important. What is the substance? Where does it come from? And can you tell me everything about the substance?
Oh, I mean, I can tell you what I know. It came from space within this meteorite, and that's all we really knew about it. It had a really spooky voice. That's why I say it that way. It was a real problem when we found it. The miners, they would have been right fucked. I mean, I know we killed a lot of them when we took this place over, but I really think they all would have died. They were literally just so... Oh, man, that company is pure evil. And I know from evil. So just, really watch out for those guys, because those miners were... They thought the introduction of drinking water was, the greatest thing that had ever happened to them.
Oof.
Not great. So, no, the substance would have really wrecked their shit, I think. When we breached deeply into the stone, the substance was unleashed. Many of our great warriors fell battling it before we came to somewhat of an accord. We did. It would be passed down from Archibald to Archibald, hold a high place of esteem, and if ever called upon for its power, it would get to just consume Archibald and kind of become him and begin a reign of terror upon the world. But unfortunately, it couldn't get out of the rock on its own, which is pretty fucking funny if you think about it. So that was the deal. It gets to go along for the ride until such time as an Archibald is calls upon it in a time of great need. If your Archibalds were anything like my Archibalds, they probably killed the one above them for a while, so it probably was never summoned. You said you saw the black goo though, right?
Yeah, from what I can remember, Echo, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was going to die and then summoned the black goo, and then you guys stomped the black goo, and then it was dead.
Oh, you killed it.
Did we kill it? It was so long ago.
Quinny is sick of this now. He climbs up from over a rock he's leaning on. He's like, yes, we killed it.
And
Also, I wasn't there. That was Juniper.
and
Yeah, I
she
just didn't know if you guys talk. Anyways,
kind of nods sadly and she says, "Oh, that's a bit of a bummer, actually. Ugh. You see, it was a little bit like a lobotomy. What Archibald did, carving the most conscious control part of the mind off. It meant that what remained has been rather unstable and slowly dripping out into the minds. It's the merbles and the miners that you've encountered that are full of the substance. You can think of it almost as a creature that has lost its sentient mind and is just left with instinct. And remnants.
murderous intent. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I'm a little bummed about all of this is restoring the sentient mind piece was really the only thing that could have, prevented it from doing what I think it's going to do. You all seem really nice, and I appreciate that you're trying to bring Aka back to its glory. As I said, I've
Butthole.
been holding on as long as I can, and
Butthole, get 2 meters away,
might
please.
be your problem now. Sorry. At which point, her face explodes with a rumble. Like literally, it's like the goo shoots kind of through the center of her face as it kind of splashes away, and the silvery black tar of the remaining substance within the rock, as well as the skittering sounds of merbles and miners falling and stumbling as the goo tears out of their bodies, kind of rolling into this room, as the remainder of the goo in the stone shoots into Reginald's eyes, mouth, nose, and ears, and finally finds an Archibald-ish thing to call home.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, OMG, it's Big Nick, D&D and Things, Norma Byers, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Flea Unit, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Melissa Rain, Mithrian, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.